어느 날 한 남성이 운전 중 갑자기 시야가 하얗게 변하며 실명하게 됩니다.
Nothing in your lenses, nothing in the retina. Your eyes are perfect.
말 나온 김에 우리 상의는 커피 없어요? 그게 어떻게 퍼지게 되는 계기가 뭐예요?
네, 저 일을 하고
James Toney, folks, he was an absolute wizard with counterpunching and an expert on the inside, often using those ropes for his defensive magic. Throughout his career, he possessed quick hand speed and respectable striking power, and was also noted for his durability, never losing one of his 92 professional fights by stoppage. He reached incredible heights, but his triumph was overshadowed by a number of circumstances. This is the story of the legendary defensive master from Michigan, James Toney, also known as Lights Out. So be sure to watch this video until the end, and don't forget to smash that like button. James Nathaniel Toney was born on August 24th, 1968, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. His father left the family when James was just 3 years old, and he and his mother Sherry moved to Detroit. Much of his early life was spent in the typical urban environment of the ghetto. However, in high school, he gained a reputation not only as a street-smart drug dealer armed to the teeth, but also as a gifted athlete. Toney excelled in both football and amateur boxing, becoming one of the top football players on his high school team. But it was during a training camp at Michigan State University that he realized he wasn't cut out to be a team player and decided to focus all his attention on boxing. His run-ins with the law were interspersed with sporting successes. James Toney won the state boxing championship in 1983 and 1984. After claiming victory in amateur boxing tournaments in 1987 and 1988, he decided to end his amateur career with a record of 31-2, with 29 wins by knockout. Toney knew he wanted to make a living in the ring. On October 26, 1988, James Toney turned professional. He quickly and decisively won his early fights with knockouts in the first few rounds. Greg Owens, Toney's coach and mentor from his youth, dubbed his protege Lights Out. James Toney carried this nickname throughout his entire career. In 1990, Toney became the state of Michigan Little League champion by knocking out Philip Warfield in the first round. Right after the fight, he declared that he was ready to fight any boxer from the top 10 of the world rankings in his division. first somewhat serious opponent in his professional career was fellow countryman Senator Mike Williams. Despite being no more than an average fighter, Williams could give a tough fight to any top boxer. The same happened with James.
A little isolated, tremendous amount of experience that can save you only can't punch on the inside.
Quick Williams tried to work with straight punches from long range, and when in close, he unleashed a flurry of punches. James Tony countered with an emphasis on body shots and looked somewhat more preferable. In a close and intense fight, Williams was more active, while Tony was more accurate. The judges declared it a majority draw. Tony claimed that he had contracted chickenpox the day before, earning his first
바로
3 months later, Lights Out settled the draw with a decision victory in a rematch against Sanderline.
자, 침볼.
Next, he faced the Dominican fighter Merca Sosa. Sosa had a similar level of competition and was also undefeated. In this fight, James Toney worked aggressively and in combinations.
브레이크. 시작.
The unorthodox and larger Sosa was active, but, like many of Tony's opponents, fell short in terms of accuracy. The third round went to James thanks to a knockdown. His opponent lost his balance after encountering a counterpunch.
Legs work, give them big squares. The balance is the big problem.
자, 팔 펴고.
In the second half of the match, Merca Sosa adjusted by targeting his opponent's body, but it couldn't save him from a decision loss. However, even the loss on paper appeared closer than it was in reality. Following that, his career saw a series of high-profile fights, as well as one title defense. It took James Toney a total of 25 victories to reach the pinnacle of the sport. On May 10th, 1991, Toney stepped into the title fight against the undefeated IBF middleweight champion, Michael Nunn. The bout took place in Davenport, Nunn's
자,
hometown.
뒤로.
Toney entered the ring as the underdog, but managed to surprise everyone.
시작.
The beginning of the match unfolded in a struggle for control of the center of the ring, a battle won by the larger and faster man. Both boxers were eager to claim each individual episode of the bout. There was no shortage of technical and tactical actions.
He's got that mean streak in him. Getting that counterpunch like right there.
The champion was significantly more accurate, but in the middle rounds, James Toney, realizing he was losing the fight, increased the tempo.
Haymaker. This has to be the 20 right hand. Yeah. I guess it's hometown fights. Every time he's going.
In the 9th round, he managed to shake Nan.
Again, tries to get that right in. Again, Tony's the busier fighter.
자, 바로 연습 몇 개.
Well, he put some punches together here. Oh, there's that one got him. That one got off. He got knocked early, man.
Yep.
Tony got the back.
A feat he repeated in the 11th. 30 seconds later, a stunning left hook from the side brought the champion to the canvas.
He better try to knock that down. Oh, he did it. Right down.
Michael struggled to get up, but couldn't withstand the finishing blows.
John better be careful. John better be careful. He's down. Why, Tony trying to finish him off.
That was a knockout and the first loss in Michael Nunn's illustrious career. At the age of 22, James Toney became the youngest world champion in the middleweight division in over half a century, and he also entered the top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. The prestigious publication, The Ring, named him Fighter of the Year. Just 7 weeks after winning the title, he stepped back into the ring to defend it against the #1 contender, Richie Johnson. For 2 rounds, Richie Johnson looked like a middleweight champion. He had hit James Toney on the deck in the 2nd round. But after that, the Long Beach fighter fought passively when he should have fought aggressively. Allowed Toney set the pace of the bout, backed off from numerous opportunities to finish the champion, and suffered his first loss.
자, 바로. 결벌로 넘뛰기 시작.
In this fight,
Jump
Toney
was
suffered
pushed
a
up.
dangerous cut that required 33 stitches, but despite that, he managed to win by decision. James Toney easily defended his International Boxing Federation middleweight title by knocking out Francesco Dell'Aquila of Italy in the 4th round of a scheduled 12-round fight at Stade Louis II.
원주 시작. 자, 뽑기 실패.
James Toney defended his middleweight title 5 more times. But the most serious challenges for Toney awaited him not in the ring, but on the scales. His weight between fights reached 195 pounds, and it became increasingly difficult to cut down to the middleweight limit of 160 pounds.
Yes, yes, yeah.
He's
아니.
strong. He knows some of the young guys
자,
think
시작.
that because he's young and the aptitude is failed. That's all. You have to fight one once you have it. 2 months later, James Toney defended his title against one of the strongest boxers in his weight class, Mike McCallum. This fight was initially intended to be a unification bout, but the WBA stripped Mike of his title
이렇게
and
당겨.
ended the fight for refusing to defend against Steve Collins and pay sanctioning fees. McCallum had it all: status, reputation, phenomenal boxing skills, and legendary trainer Eddie Futch in his corner. He was 12 years older than James, but age didn't prevent the Jamaican from providing Tony with one of the toughest fights of his career. He landed a solid right hand. McCallum ate it up in his clashes like Tony versus McCallum
자,
deserve
프랭크.
a collection of any fan
정면
of
시작.
dynamic boxing. Toe to toe, bone to bone, Mike was more active, but James's punches appeared heavier and more impactful.
자, 트위스트. 자, 좌측. 시작.
This closely contested bout ended with James Toney earning the second draw of his relatively short career.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bout is a draw. Let's hear it for the point of these great fighters here tonight.
자, 우측.
The fourth title defense against the relatively unknown compatriot Dave Timbery was viewed as an easy bout. How wrong those who thought so were. Timbery acted at a rapid pace and was relentless in his attack, catching
자,
James
반대.
off guard at times.
정면. 시작.
He delivered a tremendous number of punches, even shaking James in the third round.
자, 올려.
Dave Timbery
자,
felt
뒤로.
as confident as his opponent throughout the close and incredibly
준비.
intense fight.
시작.
The bout, which was fiercely
자,
contested,
올려.
incredibly
하나,
close
둘,
at the
하나,
distance.
둘.
However, there was no doubt in anyone's mind that this time, James Toney had not earned the victory. No
바로.
one, except for the 2 judges who awarded him the win by a split decision.
자, 50개 시작.
The crowd booed the judge's decision, but Tony's career continued. In August 1992, he faced a rematch with Mike McCallum. This time, Lights Out managed to partially neutralize his opponent's jab and outpace him in speed. The fight,
자,
the
2kg.
first one, became a treat for true boxing connoisseurs.
자, 정면 스트레이트 시작.
A lot of strength in that 23 years.
The victory in this intense
Yo.
battle went to the champion, and there was no doubt about the decision. Later, Tony would call Mike the toughest opponent in his career.
자, 뒤로.
You might have noticed that at this stage of our story, Tony's fights were highly competitive, and that was inevitable. Tony stepped into the ring more often than any other boxer of his time. He alternated high-level fights with tune-up bouts to stay in shape and work on technical and tactical aspects, everything in accordance with old-school traditions. However, James was increasingly troubled by weight issues. Therefore, after his rematch with McCallum, he decided to move up to the super middleweight division. In his debut fight in this new weight class, he faced former champion Doug DeWitt, also known as the Cobra.
자, 준비. 하나, 둘,
Every Cobra super later finds its mongoose, and James Tony proved to be its mongoose.
일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열, 앞으로. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 여섯. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯,
The initiative to
여섯,
displayed far
일곱,
superior accuracy.
여덟, 아홉, 열, 돌려주게. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열, 반대. 하나,
Rounds,
둘,
landed only
셋,
31 punches compared to
넷,
Tony's
다섯,
181.
여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열, 앞으로. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열, 반대. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열, 위아래. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱,
As a
여덟,
result, DeWitt's
아홉,
corner
열,
was
좌우.
the referee to stop the beating.
둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열, 크로스.
After his warm-up fight,
Ah.
Tony challenged
Good.
IBF champion Iran Barkley.
셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열. 네. 자, 사극을 끼세요 일단.
이번으로 선물 같은 별 특별한 이 순간 응답 이 순간 아웃백 그렇지 투자 받아서 그런 효과가 없으니까 제대로 투자해.
It was no secret that the aggressor in this fight would be the champion. Tony had to meet the larger opponent head-on and respond sharply. What Tony excelled in more than any of Barkley's previous opponents was his ability to read his opponent's actions. Iran Barkley himself realized this in the very first round, after which he seemed dazed and even went to the wrong corner. The champion lacked speed and often acted predictably.
Everybody's son.
James
자,
Tony
스텝.
easily read his movements, responding with spectacular combinations.
스위치.
After the fifth round, Tony's accuracy reached
스위치.
60%.
자, 가 돌리고. 잽. 잽. 2개. 3개. 백 2개. 잽.
The audience witnessed
One,
a
two.
fool with power punches
One,
and
two, three.
styles. It was hard to leave such a
Yeah.
fight disappointed.
원투. 잽 투. 투. 원투. 잽. 원투 쓰리. 스위치. 잽. 2개. 잽. 3개.
After
백
the
3개.
Barkley's face resembled
Jab.
a bloody mess, and his
Jab,
trainer
jab,
made
two.
the decision to withdraw his fighter.
원투. 원투 쓰리. 잽 투. 투.
Most every champion is a big two.
원투. 다시.
Like I said, I like the fights they have to do, I take on coming, I don't try to hold back, so I'm gonna stand shut to make big because it's not being a war.
Following several
바로.
fights against overachievers. Ricky Thomas.
자, 준비. 앞으로. 셋. 완전 멈추고.
Ricky Thomas.
하나. 둘. 콕. 콕. 콕.
Danny Garcia.
엎어.
And
Bobby.
where our hero secured confident victories, he defends his title against Tony Thornton. Thornton
Bobby.
might not have been a star, but he was a skilled and tricky boxer.
Bobby.
Similar to his encounters with Michael
Bobby.
Hunt and Mike McCallum,
Bobby.
this fight turned out to be a
Bobby.
technically engaging and
Bobby.
interesting battle.
엎어. 엎어. 훅. 훅. 스텝. 잽. 완투 양호 멈추고. 양호. 엎어 양호. 엎어 양호. 자, 바디 양호. 자, 5개. 바디, 엎어, 양. 6개. 바디, 엎어, 양호. 스텝. 완투 멈추고. 양호. 앞으로 이걸 받아야 돼. 완투 양호. 양호. 이거 어떻게 방금 하나, 둘, 이렇게 놓고, 하나,
James Tony celebrated a unanimous decision victory after the round.
멈추고, 방어.
Tell us about Roy Jones, your feelings about fighting Roy Jones. Hey, bring him on. You want to say I'm ready for it? Tell me what you know. Well, you know what thank you very much. You know what? That's what it's about. Here we go.
His weight problems persisted, and in his next fight, James Lights Out Tony competed in the light heavyweight division while technically remaining the champion in the second middleweight category. His first opponent in the light heavyweight division was Anthony Hembrick, whom Tony defeated in the 7th round. There's a nice fight by Hembrick there. A couple other people I didn't
원투, 원투 쓰리, 하나, 둘, 셋, 완투 완투. 하나 둘 셋. 완투 쓱. 하나 둘 셋. 쓱. 쓱. 완투 바디. 완투 야구. 어퍼야구. 완투 어퍼야구. 완투 어퍼야구. 제배 4개. 제배 5개. 빠지 어퍼야구.
Known for his long reach and speed,
빠지 어퍼야구. 제배 6개. 완투야구 여기. 되면서 하나 둘 하나 둘 셋. 어퍼야구 여기. 하나 둘 하나 둘 셋. 완투하고 쓱. 투하고 쓱. 바로.
However, in his attempt to finish Littles, James suffered a cut due to a head clash. The cut was severe, and the ringside doctor gave Tony just one more round before threatening to stop the fight. "I'm going to knock this bastard out," James yelled from his corner. At the beginning of the 4th round, Tony, typically calculated and cool-headed, intensified his assault. Blood was streaming down his face, but he was determined to annihilate Littles like a hungry wolf chasing its prey. The young contender couldn't withstand such a desperate onslaught and went down again.
네, 스텝. 잽. 완투 멈추고. 땡기면서 들키는 거. 쓱. 땡기면서 쓱 펼치고.
Simultaneously with the 3rd fall of Littles, the referee stopped the fight.
어깨로. 완투 멈추고. 백. 시작. 이리 와서 멈추고. 백.
James Tony fought tooth and nail to claim victory, retaining his title in a spectacular fashion.
세 개.
For 3.5 years, James Tony became one of the most active champions in boxing. During that time, most boxing publications regarded Tony as the best boxer across all weight divisions. Many feared him. James Tony was one of the great boxers of the past. His style was almost flawless. He could easily box at a distance or up close, adapting to his style. It seemed like Tony had it all: strength, speed, a solid chin, remarkable defensive skills, and the respect of his team. However, he had to grapple with weight issues once again. Between fights, he had gained weight, returning to 200 pounds. Tony came out of the injury bout once again, becoming increasingly difficult for him to manage his body. Nevertheless, title defenses were still in his schedule, so in the summer of 1994, Tony returned to the super middleweight division. His opponent was from the lightweight division, the former world champion Charles Williams, known as Prince. Immediately pursued his range, setting a high tempo and ultimately pushing the champion.
맞추고 가야 돼. 빠지면 더블. 빵! 빠지고 더블. 완투. 잽. 잽. 잽 주고 빼서 빠지고 빼서. 잽. 쭉 빼야지.
James Tony wouldn't be himself if he did not seem to fight under these conditions.
빠지고. 빵! 세 개. 완투. 어포양호 하나 툭 3개 하나
Lights out defended himself reliably,
One, two.
not giving up his formidable opponent.
원, 투, 어퍼, 카운트 어퍼 올려주자 원, 투, 어퍼, 카운트 들어와야 빵! 스트레이트 찍는 거 있으면
First half
시작
of the fight was close. Tony's advantage became
유리 복싱 그만 가라 복싱을 계속 밀어버려 빡 하고 어포양호 다리 어포양호 다리 계속 끝까지 시작 빵! 두번더 빵! 3개 수 아웃
with a straight right.
둘째 안쓰 자, 빙글러 보세요. 피스 불고, 자. 헤드기어 끼고, 피스 먼저 불고, 헤드기어 끼고, 글러브.
Flat on the canvas, and the audience was thrilled. After the fight with Prince Charles Williams, it was announced that Tony would defend his title against Roy Jones Jr.
Tell us what's going to happen in the fight. That's all I can do. I got to teach that lesson. You can't. Nobody teach me lesson. I'm the teacher, baby. I'm the teacher. We'll see come 18. We'll see come 18. I'm breaking you up. We'll see come 18. That's all I got to say. Breaking you. We'll see come 18. I'm young, that's just what I'm looking for. That's just my game. That's just my game. That's just my game.
It was time for an even greater challenge, a mega fight that boxing fans had eagerly awaited, a bout against the talented Roy Jones Jr. Both fighters were ranked in the top 10 pound-for-pound best boxers in the world and competed in neighboring weight divisions. For Jones, the fight with Tony marked his debut in the super middleweight division, and he was less experienced than James Toney. Lights Out was considered a slight favorite. The fight was scheduled for November 18, 1994. Leading up to this bout, while struggling with weight, Tony managed to shed 47 pounds in just 6 weeks. His body was severely dehydrated, a known fact within his camp. Tony, defensively sound, took the initiative and tried to lock down Jones. However, Jones had other plans.
And measured in his approach. Right hand misses the jab. Right hand was a glancing blow.
He maintained a long-range distance and launched unexpected attacks when Tony least expected them.
The lead in the fight. It's a quick right hand by Jones, and it looks like
The quick and elusive Jones kept Tony on the move, working at a frenetic pace and frequently changing the distance between them.
a couple of body shots by Jones.
Tony carries that right hand which flows through. He's still scoring some points. Tony has to punch back. They come
네.
Right hand to the body by Jones. Finally gains good right.
Jones' unorthodox style and his incredible reflexes made him a challenging opponent for Tony. In the early stages of the third round, Jones caught Tony with a left hook while leaping forward, exploiting an opening when James responded with a feint. It was the second knockdown of our hero's career.
Loaded by Jones. He attempts fade, I think. Left hook, and down goes Tony.
It's probably to make go line with hand gestures and fists. We don't see from that angle, there's another angle that we can see. Here it'll tell us right now. You see, his behind never did stagger back, but he didn't go down.
Harold, let's open it, Harold, quickly. Why might that have been scored a knockdown, Harold?
If the ropes are holding you up,
Despite the grim situation in the ring, Tony continued to search for an opportunity until the very end, but it was all in vain.
Right-handed left hook combo.
리듬을 타면서 해야 돼.
It's unorthodox behaviors. He can certainly kill the clock. Nobody that he's fought so quick. Last test. Right in there with that leg hook. And you told James Tony he's not see. This goes to show you that James is still growing in his 3 years as a world champion. If he was that champion, so long ago.
Roy Jones celebrated a convincing victory by decision. This marked James Tony's first defeat after 46 consecutive victories. After the fight, James addressed his opponent. The title was lost, and therefore, in the super middleweight division, there was nothing holding James back. He moved up to the light heavyweight division. 2 days after the loss, James Toney stormed out of a meeting at the home of his manager, Jackie Coleman, after she suggested he could have a rematch with Jones in the 168-pound weight category. Toney struggled with, leaving him feeling uncomfortable during the fight.
I said, Jackie, I don't want to hear no more about no 168. He said,
스웨치 막 들락날락하면서 계속 앞서 주면서 리듬을 타면서 기술을 배운 걸 써먹을 줄 알아야 돼.
and
아프질 않아요.
that's how that's set me up right there.
네, 긴장해서 그래요.
Tony learned that Coleman was anxious during the fight due to a proposed multi-million-dollar deal with HBO, contingent on his victory over Jones. Tony concluded that Colin's primary concern was money.
I wanted him to be motivated. You know, I wanted him to realize we had a real big deal sitting on the table, a very large one. Actually, it was the largest deal that's ever been offered to anybody other than a heavyweight. And I was real excited about that, as was James.
I was totally uncomfortable. And I lost a lot of respect for her because she said that.
His loss of respect almost led to an act of violence. He even threatened to kill Jackie Collin, but soon everything was resolved. Trainer Bill Miller believed that James might be making a serious mistake in his approach to handling his first loss.
그렇지. 또 줘보고 줘보고. 그렇죠.
But this thing's for real out here.
때려보고.
One last thing. Boxing is not about one individual. You know,
그렇지.
James was that.
가서 올리고. 하면서.
Manage himself. You know, he got pride to manage himself. He could manage himself. Right now, I'm in control of everything. Nobody can pick up with me. James calling the shots. I want to do what I want to do. If they don't like it, they kiss my butt. Because of my soul.
Jackie Collin remained James Toney's manager, but their contract was set to expire in July. James had not expressed confidence in her, so everyone was awaiting further developments. His first test in this category was a fight against Montel Griffin for the IBF Intercontinental title. The 24-year-old Griffin was undefeated, but in terms of experience, he was nowhere near the 26-year-old James. In some ways, Montel adopted Roy Jones' tactics.
Where the star of David Implement has once he has always worn in the past.
When Tony went out instantly going to the body, which is awesome.
Implemented his divisions in which he's won titles. One case had remaining 168. And a short right hand inside. Now Tony misses. Says he's taking elbow with his body.
Initially, he used shorter attacks, but with quick shifts, often working ahead of James.
Body punches. It's not totally like that. Let me tell you, said he would box.
Well, James will listen a brawl from the smaller body.
쟤네들은 세계 레벨 중에서도 A급, S급.
Now, Roy Jones has the idea.
James Toney focused on body shots, and at the end of the third round, he managed to shake his opponent.
그렇지. 어우. 급하게 하지 마. 여유 있게, 여유 있게. 급하게 하자면
This kind of exchange is a characteristic of
한번 딱 그렇게 딱 보면서 생각하면서
knockdown. But still not like
The distance closed in the fourth round.
until the Roy Jones fight. Beatty opening himself up to Reed hard punches inside. And Tony is getting the better of
The first half of the fight was slightly in Griffin's favor.
the coaster. Virtually everybody in the sport being reviewed really.
Towards the end of the second round, he managed to shoot James with a left hook.
Left hand by Griffin and Tony wobbles into the ropes.
Let's take a look and see what that happened there. That's it. It was not even a punch. It was a slip.
He hit him on the shoulder and followed up with a shot, and then Tony wobbles into the ropes. The Fury here is trying to erase some of the damaging effects of an outstanding Montel triple wallop.
James Toney showed a better performance after the midpoint of the fight, and it became more evenly matched.
Told me to give him that hook, and he went out there and missed one.
Secret by first like secret.
Taking a little activity. He has a style, and then he's going about with jabbing and tape. He's getting that jab going. Now you're over the right hand of the division.
And now he gives it all he's got and finishes with a savage story.
The majority decision victory went to Montel. Lights Out disagreed with the verdict. The sudden, impulsive, and overly self-confident Toney changed his team, parting ways with Bill Miller and Jackie Callan. The dispute with Callan, as you may remember, began after the fight with Jones. At that time, Toney claimed that he was forced to step into the ring despite weight problems and illness. Regarding trainer Bill Miller, he said, James no longer wanted to listen to me. He held on to what I taught him, but didn't want to develop. If he hadn't stopped training, he could have become one of the greatest fighters in history. I lacked motivation. After the Barkley fight, I was never in good shape again. I quit running for 8 years, James later admitted.
배우는 누구나 할 수 있어. 이제 집에서도 다 해. 모두가 디지털 앞에 더 당당해질 수 있도록 찾아가는 시니어 디지털 스쿨. 친구를 디지털 사고 더 가깝게 카카오. 어떤 걸로 소리 많이 나네. 그래서 그래픽이 바꾼다. 쉽게 관리할 수 있겠지? 질리지 않는데 필요한 영양을 쉽게 담는 그래픽이 맞춤 건강 식단.
자, 그 한지경 먼저 기다려요.
인지 그래픽.
After a deal with Carl Lewis, Tony hired a new manager, Stan Hoffman, and a new trainer, former world champion Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. As usual, Tony remained active and continued to score a series of impressive victories until the end of 1995. With his new team behind him, Tony defeated Anthony Hembrick. Was winning the U.S. and championship titles in the light heavyweight division. In September 1995, Tony defended his WBO title against Chris Patini. However, he couldn't be the lead for his defense, scheduled for December 8th. He was later announcing that he could not shed the necessary weight in time. The fight was replaced with a bout for the WBU Continental Championship in the first heavyweight division against Greg Everett. Is the fight with Greg Everett, where IOC was a textbook. After that, success Tony still remembers his loss to Roy Jones. He believes that he allowed Jones to win only because he was in poor shape. During the same period, Tony successfully defended his title.
Very small man, 6'6", once not being
On December 6, 1996, James Toney faced Montel Griffin in a rematch.
He's a hard puncher when he's right. There he knows that Montel is one of the other good fighters. He's beat Michael on. He was ready to the fight.
Less athletic than the first encounter. But Griffin won by unanimous decision from the judges. James Toney was extremely disappointed. He had suffered a second defeat at the hands of the same opponent. It's clear that this is not the best period in James Lights Out Tony's life. His confidence with Jackie Chan, his losses to Griffin, and his legal battles with his own father and his determined. Tony briefly moved on to the first heavyweight division fight against Mike McCallum.
Take a step to your left when you throw your left hook. You'll never land. There's an example. See McCallum again, just taking a step on it.
By this time, both fighters were past their prime, but Tony looked better.
Here's a round. It's a classic James Toney round. He's taking this round off.
The fight was similar to the previous two, but it was less competitive. Nostalgia again, a lot of punches and excellent tactical readiness for both fighters.
11th round knockout in their careers.
James Toney looked much more convincing, winning the bout by decision. It seemed like Toney could no longer keep his weight within the light heavyweight category. However, he decided to step into the ring against Drake Thadze for the IBO title. For this fight, James changed his trainer once again, and now Freddie Roach was in his corner.
Couple of knockouts here and there. Definitely a different fight.
At the weigh-in, Tony's weight exceeded the 175-pound limit by nearly 5 pounds. He was given 2 hours to shed the extra weight, but when he returned, his weight was still at 177 pounds. The fight was allowed to proceed with the condition that Toney would not receive the title even if he won.
Getting some shots in. But his punches aren't doing anything. A good solid shot. But Tony looks like he's only got 2 rounds to get here. I've given him the last.
Not sure the campaign.
Not sure the left hand.
They will put this round
In the back.
Tony's bout with the powerful African Thadze resembled his fight against Charles Williams. It was an exchange of blows at close range. During the fight, Toney began to tire quickly, leading to his loss by decision. This marked the end of his time in the light heavyweight division. James Toney had no other option, and he moved up to a higher weight category. James Toney made a return to the ring a month later and won the IBO title in the cruiserweight division in a bout against Steve Little. After the fight with Little, Toney decided to move up to the heavyweight division and began a specialized training program to increase his muscle mass. In January 1998, his fight against former champion Larry Holmes was scheduled, but shortly before the bout, it was announced that Holmes had sustained an injury during training. In April, HBO was looking for an opponent for Andrew Golota, and Toney offered himself, but Golota's team rejected his candidacy. When Roy Jones declined to fight in the heavyweight division against Buster Douglas, Toney offered to replace him, but was once again turned down. James Toney even stated that if Jones wanted to fight in the heavyweight division, he should face him, but Jones refused. During this time, Toney faced serious personal problems. On one hand, he was going through a divorce, and on the other, he was dealing with legal proceedings involving his mother. Due to the failed attempts to secure a fight in these personal issues, it took 2 years before Toney made a return to the ring. In 1999, James Toney made a comeback in much better shape than before and went on a winning streak. During his time of inactivity, Toney's weight had risen to 275 pounds. Many believed that he would never be a serious contender again, but he surprised everyone when, in March 1999, after 7 months of rigorous training, he stepped into the ring against Jerry Porter. He was an excellent shooter. Toney won that fight by technical knockout. In 1999, James Toney decided to return to the cruiserweight division. On July 29, 1999, he faced Adolfo Washington, and it was the first time Washington's solid chin failed him. Toney's chiseled physique indicated that he was taking his comeback seriously. In October of the same year, he scored a brilliant unanimous decision victory over the tough puncher Ramon Gabri. In January 2000, Toney faced fellow countryman Terry McGraw, who had a solid amateur background. The mostly boxed in the center of the ring. McGrill's frequent and pesky jabs, as well as his light but quick straight punches in an amateur style, proved to be uncomfortable for James.
Landed by Tony. Sister Tony talent and ability and speed.
However, Tony consistently landed right hands and was more accurate than his opponent. He won the fight by a majority decision after 10 rounds. Tony finished the year 2000 with one more victory, defeating Courtney Butler by knockout. It appeared that Tony was ready to challenge for a world title, but he encountered a significant problem. None of the champions were willing to fight him. In 2001, Tony was offered the role of Joe Frazier in the movie Allen. Despite his busy filming schedule, he managed to have a fight in March against Saul Montana, winning the IBF Super Cruiserweight title. July 20th, Tony stopped Martin in the third round and did not return to the ring until the end of 2001. He once again surprised everyone when he returned to the cruiserweight division in 2002. He continued to secure victories, but in some fights, he weighed over 200 pounds. The public had doubts about James' ability to box at the top level in the cruiserweight division, but Tony wasn't concerned. On April 26, 2003, our hero finally had the chance to become a champion in the cruiserweight division. His opponent was the formidable IBF champion from Kazakhstan, Vasily Jirov, known as the Tiger, who had already defended his title multiple times and was 5 years younger than James. The champion led the way, launching attacks at different levels. In the context of this weight class, he threw a significant number of punches. Tony was also active